Hi, it's Colleen from Made for Mermaids. Welcome to day one of our Isabel and Mama Isabel Sew-a-long. I know this is one that everybody has been asking for a long time, basically since it released, so we're excited to get this going for you. Today we're working on cutting out our pattern pieces and cutting out our fabric, and the hacks are actually going up on the blog today too, so if you decide you want to do one of the hack options, either from the original release or our new hacks, you can cut those out today as well. I've actually already cut out all my fabric because I'm making several different versions, but I will show you, just like when I did the Sierra, I did mash sizes for my daughter, so she's a 2-3 mash, and she's actually a size 1 waist, but since it ties, I opted not to do the grading at the waist, and I'll just tie it a little bit tighter, especially with those toddler bellies, you know, they can fluctuate so much. So you can see my purple and my pink lines there, and because I don't want to print for every single version, I cut the sleeve version and then I just snip and fold that back so that I can do this sleeveless version too, and I did that for all of them. So you can see the back bodice piece, I did the same thing, and then for the sleeves, if I wanted to do short sleeves or 3/4 sleeves, I would just fold it back, and I actually even did it with the skirt piece. So this one was a little bit crazier, but you can see all my snips, all my fold lines, and then because it was a little bit harder to try and fold this whole bottom piece back, I just cut that off, and then when I go to cut this whole skirt rather than just the top length, I just line it up on my fabric, and I make sure I put some pattern weights right down the middle just to make sure it doesn't shift, and then I cut it like that. So that's just a little trick you can use so that way you're not printing out several copies of the same version or several copies of the same pattern. Really quickly, I'll go through what fabric pieces you should have if you're doing one of the regular versions. If you're doing one of the hack versions, definitely make sure you check out the blog for the instructions there. So you should have either 2 sleeves or 2 armbands if you're doing the sleeveless version. You should have a long waist tie and a short waist tie. And a lot of times what I do to distinguish the neckband from the long waist tie is just to put it in a little knot, and then I know when I get around to that it's the neckband and not one of my waist ties. You can also double check because the neckband will be a little bit longer than the long waist tie, so that's another way to distinguish. You should have 2 front bodice pieces. You should have 1 back skirt piece. You should have 1 back bodice piece, and then you should have 2 front skirt pieces. And I did the tulip dress length. So those are the pieces you should have cut out. Again, if you're doing one of the hacks, either from the original release or from today's hacks, double check the directions there to make sure you have what you need cut out, because it will be a little bit different depending on what you're doing. We'll see you tomorrow.